The Rock literally stops a torpedo with his bare hands. They've even jumped a hypercar from a skyscraper to another skyscraper. And they stole the bank. They drove it down the road until they wiped out the entire city's police force, killing everyone. And Dom 1v1'd a freaking submarine with heat-seeking missiles in his 1970 Dodge Charger. How much crazier is this gonna get? I thought the stakes were high in Avengers Endgame. I mean, Thanos snapped away half of all life in the entire universe, but every time they make a new Fast and Furious movie, it's so intense that I leave the theater feeling like I have to drive home at 80 miles an hour and drift around all the turns in my parking garage. How many times can they save the world before it becomes mediocre? They're gonna have to start going to outer space soon and fighting aliens or something. They've done everything from fighting tanks on the highway to driving out of planes to steal prisoners from a motorized home beefed up with 12 miniguns. This series is the definition of tough guys in their souped up cars. Each installment has just continued to go so much more over the top than the previous one. It begs the question, when will it stop? How long until we're going to see Dom and his crew go to outer space?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
What on earth do they have in store for us this next movie, Fast 9, let alone to already schedule Fast 10 for next year? If we're fighting submarines and tanks and heat seekers now, what on earth will they be doing in another 2 movies? How much more Fast and Furious will these movies actually get? This, plus all the other elements of family and comedy and outright absurd action, is why I'm so excited for the next Fast and Furious movie. I want to see what crazy physics-defying stunts they're going to pull off, and I'm just jumping with joy to see them save the world for the 10th time. We're going to go over some of the craziest Fast and Furious stunts they've pulled over the years, as well as talk about this new movie we've got coming out. I don't know if you've seen the trailer yet, but it already looks like they're going to top the last movie by a mile, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget, I'll be here making fun videos for you guys every single week. By subscribing, you can stay up to date on all the latest movies and theories that everyone's going to be talking about. All you have to do is go down and hit that red button that says subscribe, and you'll become part of this community that's filled with tons of people who love to talk about the same things that you love to talk about. And love it or hate it, these movies are one of the most successful film franchises in Hollywood right now, and they just can't seem to make enough of these movies fast enough. But even as a fan, you gotta stop and think to yourself how absurd some of the stuff in these films actually is. But you know what? I think that's a big reason why we like to watch these movies. But it wasn't always like this. Let's go back to the very beginning and see where this all started. First movie came out and there was a bunch of cool street races and some high-speed heists. Really good for a first movie, but nothing unrealistic. Everything was completely grounded. Second movie comes out and they're like, alright, let's make a really big jump and then let's have one of the other cars fly over the first car on the same jump. Ooh, and then at the end of the movie, we can take a car and jump it off of a dock and onto the bad guy's boat to stop him from getting away. That'd be cool. Fast and Furious 3, car through a house. Car through a house. Okay, yeah, but what else can we do? Drifting. Well, what about drifting? Can we put some drifting? You know what? I'm done with this. Drifting! Haha! Fast and Furious 4 comes around and they thought it'd be a good idea to give the team some liquid nitrogen so that their next heist they can literally just steal the entire trailer from the semi. Isn't that crazy? Okay, cool, but what should we have them steal? Gas. Wait, what? It's worth a lot of money. They're stealing gas. Yep. And one truck has 5 trailers attached to it. What? That can't be safe. They're gonna have so much gas? Okay, and then what? Then one of the trailers is going to spin out of control and detach itself and start rolling towards Dom and Letty, who are trapped because the front half of the gas truck crashed in front of them and everything's about to explode. Oh my gosh. They drive under the trailer, which is now on fire. On fire. Slow motion shot. And then the tankers hit each other. Boom. Then they fall off a cliff in a ball of fire. Wait, Dom and Letty? No, they're fine. Not a scratch. That escalated so quickly. And that's how we'll start the movie. What? Fast and Furious 5 rolls around and heists. But this time on a train. And they'll drive a car out of the train. 3 of them. And then one car will ram into the train and then explode when it hits a bridge. Isn't that a little much? Well, what if the team does a bank heist, but instead of taking the money from the bank, they take the entire vault and drive it all through Rio, wrecking half the city and killing hundreds of cops? Whoa, that's even crazier. Good idea, let's do them both. What? So moving on to Fast and Furious 6, the bad guys have a car that flips other cars. A tank comes out of another car and then shoots at all the other cars on the highway. Then a jump from tank to car, but before he jumps, he attaches his car to the tank with a wire. Then they use the car as an anchor and push it over the other side of the bridge. But Dom's old girlfriend, who hit her head and doesn't remember she's Dom's girlfriend, she climbed out on top of the tank. The anchor sets and the tank flips up in the air, shooting Letty off. And then Dom gets on top of his car and steers it into the side of the bridge, launching him off where he saves his girlfriend in midair. And then a windshield breaks his fall. Oh my gosh, does he die? No, they're both fine. Didn't you hear? The windshield broke their fall. I don't think it works like that. Moving on. Oh yeah, and somehow the bad guy gets away, and while the good guys are chasing him, a plane lands in front of them, and the bad guy drives into the plane. Oh yeah, and the bad guy has Brian's wife too. What? So the good guys have to drive into the plane too and start fighting the bad guys. And then some more good guys shoot more wires attaching their cars to the plane, but the plane takes off, so all the good guys are hanging from the airplane going down the runway. But then they shoot more wires into it and drag the plane down with Dom still inside, but as it's exploding down the runway, Dom drives out of the plane in his car that he drove into the plane earlier and completely wipes out. That's a lot. Are you sure that's not too much? Nah, they'll love it. Let's make another movie. Fast and Furious, what are we on now? 7? Jeez. Okay, so everybody loved the cars in the plane thing, so they're in a plane again, and as it's flying, they're all going to drive out of it in their cars and parachute down to the road, then they chase down a bus with 6 miniguns on one side. They blow the backside of the bus off, and then Brian gets on top of his car, and then Tej rams him into the back of it, and he starts fighting the bad guys. The driver gets shot, and the bus goes up the side of the mountain and flips on its side, and as it keeps sliding towards the edge of the cliff, Brian gets locked inside and has to climb out the front of the bus, and as it starts to fall, he runs up the falling bus and jumps off the end, only to be barely saved by a sick drift. Then, they'll go to Dubai and steal the prince's hypercar and drive it out of the 100th floor into another building. Oh, wow. And then they'll do it again. They jump out and the car plummets out of the next building. Then, we're going to have a drone chase the good guys around the town trying to blow them up with missiles. And then they'll do a sweet drift side by side and pass off the girl they're protecting before the car she was in gets blown up. And then The Rock flexes and breaks his cast. That's not a stunt. Shh, it's gonna be awesome. The drone will blow up some more cars and then The Rock will get in a standoff with the machine gunner in the helicopter. Well, how is this gonna work? He's gonna have a minigun. Oh my. And then Dom will have to drive his car up off the parking garage to hook a bag of explosives to the chopper, and then The Rock will shoot it and everything explodes. Okay, this is getting out of hand. Next movie! Okay, so this is the 8th one now. What you got? Zombie cars. No. The bad guy can hack any car she wants so that she can drive 1,000 cars at once. We can have her hack a parking garage full of cars and make them drive out the side to trap the good guys. Then later, we're going to have the bad guys hijack a sub filled with nukes, and there will be a huge shootout as they're driving on the ice and they're firing missiles, and we can do so many explosions. And then the sub can surface and throw all the cars up in the air in slow motion. And the only way they can beat the sub is if Dom lures away the heat-seeking missile the sub just shot at him and get it to turn around and drives back at the sub only to launch over it at the last second and missing it by a hair, and the missile blows the bad guy's ship up into the biggest explosion yet. How could we possibly make any more movies after this? That's the highest bar we can set. Fast and Furious 9. Do you remember when Woody and Buzz lit a rocket on that RC car to catch up with Andy? Yeah. Well, let's do that, but with a real rocket engine strapped to a Pontiac Fiero. But why? And then we're gonna have the biggest car flip of all time with a semi-trailer tank. Then they're going to have to drive up an old rope bridge after it's been cut, and then the bad guy from the last movie is going to swoop in and pick up a car in a magnet plane. I don't think bridges work like that. Or magnets. And then Dom is going to try to go back over the bridge, but there's no bridge, so he drives through the rope and hooks his wheel and swings up out of the canyon to safety on the other side. And you don't think any of this is a little too much? They'll love it. And just like that, a multi-billion-dollar franchise is made. These movies have become absolutely insane, but that's why we love them. It's like if reality is over here, the Fast and Furious movies are way over here. And as they continue to make more, they just keep getting farther and farther away. And it was all fine and dandy until Fast 5 came along, and it made way more money by just being so far over the top and just piling in as much action and as many big stunts as they could. And now we're stuck on this streak of them having to one up themselves. They've turned into superhero movies with cars. That's literally what these movies have become. Worldwide heists and stopping nuclear submarines. By the time Fast 10 comes out, we'll be seeing Schwarzenegger and Stallone riding against the crew, turning this into Expendables 4. I don't see why this can't happen. I mentioned this earlier, but at some point, they'll have to go to the moon. There's only so much you can do on Earth before leaving the ground. This is how you have to raise the bar. And did you ever notice how no one ever loses a fight? They either get stopped by an outside force or go into some deep monologuing. Apparently, they're keeping track of how many punches each person throws, so that no one looks inferior or gets beat up more than the next guy. Can you believe that? The Rock is catching torpedoes with his bare hands, while later on set that day, he's like, how many times did I just get punched? 4? 5? But he only got punched 3 times. I'm not getting punched 4. Yes, that is right. Vin Diesel does this. The Rock does this. Even Jason Statham does this. And at first, I thought it sounded like the silliest thing to do, especially when your entire movie is based around punching, kicking, and shooting. But while we're at it, make sure I don't get punched too much. And as silly as this seems, I'm sure they have a good reason for doing it. I'm pretty sure it's just so they don't get beat up too badly and their character looks like a wimp on screen, because that could carry over and affect them getting work elsewhere as a tough guy if all they did in their last movie was lose fights. So yeah. The biggest thing that I'm cautious about for this next movie is John Cena. I love him as a person. He does incredible work with charities and foundations for kids all the time, and he's extremely successful, and I have nothing but respect for this guy and his hard work ethic, but I'm just not sure how well he'll fit into this movie. I don't hate him as an actor, but I just haven't seen him in a role that I've liked more than disliked. Like, when he was in Bumblebee, he played this tough military leader, bad guy who would randomly make jokes, and it was just one of the most distracting things I've ever seen from the actual movie. It probably would have been fine if they just let him play the bad guy and be the bad guy, but it was like 3PO in the newest Star Wars movie. They gave him a line every possible chance they could just to point out that he was in the movie, and it became excessive. I'm hoping that for this movie, they just let him be the bad guy and that's that. I don't want to sit there cringing every time his character comes on screen. And for how much Dom loves family, I can't believe we've gone 8 movies without hearing anything about his brother until now. All he ever preaches is family. Why have we never heard that you even have a little brother when all we hear come out of your mouth is family? I don't know. What do you think? I'm willing to give it a chance, I guess. Oh, they're putting Cardi B in this movie too. Thank you guys for watching. I just hit 100,000 subs. Thank you so much. I can't believe 100,000 people subscribed to the channel. That's insane. I'm just so happy that many people have enjoyed the videos I make enough to want to support me and keep watching. I appreciate all of you so much. You have no idea. I'm able to live my dream and do what I love because of you guys, so thank you. Everyone subscribed up until now is part of the 100K family. You guys are the stepping stones for how far I've grown and will continue to grow. So thanks for being a part of this community and showing me that you care. Come talk to me in the comments. Let me know what your favorite videos I do are. Share this video with a friend and then go watch one of these videos. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here next week. This has been your boy Michael J. Peace.